Today on the Hawkeye Skunk Works Car Corner Tech Tip, we're talking DIY powder coat. So like I just said, today we're going to talk about DIY powder coat. If you're not familiar with powder coat, basically what it is, real rough explanation, is a granulated or powdered polymer, and you will dust that onto whatever part that you're powder coating. 99.9% of the time it's going to be metal. You'll be using some kind of an applicator, a gun of some sort, along the lines of a paint gun, but obviously for powder you'll need an air compressor, electricity, and that's pretty much it. Also, you'll need an oven as a separate piece of equipment. So let's go ahead and jump into it and get started. What I have here is a Eastwood powder coat gun. Eastwood is a automotive body supply company essentially. They have a catalog and a website, as does everyone nowadays. I've had this for about 8 years now, and it's served me really well. You have the powder in a canister down here, which is removable, and you can order extra canisters from Eastwood depending on how many powders you have. I got several of these. You just take it, unscrew it, and put a cap on it for storage. Just make sure you keep it in a relatively dry area, because you don't want moisture getting in there and ruin your powder. So what will happen, you'll hook your air hose up to here. I've got a regulator and a moisture filter, just like you would with a paint gun, and you're going to push the powder out of the nozzle and it's going to spray out, and I'll show that later in demonstration, to the part, whatever part that you're going to be powder coating. Right here I've got a this is a cast iron tow hook off a Ford, and we're going to powder coat that. What this particular powder is a semi-textured red. It's kind of a flat semi-gloss. I like flat semi-glosses. I like the finish in the powder coat, I like how it comes out. I like to use texture a lot, because unless your prep work is perfect, it's just like any other coating, paint. Prep work is a huge part of it. You can't get away with no prep work, otherwise the finish won't be good, it won't stick. Is there a little bit more leeway with powder coat than there is with paint? I would say so. I'm going to get so much hate on this in comments. It's like painting a car. Everyone knows the best way to do it, and your way is wrong. But like I said, I've been doing it for about 8 years. I've done everything: gun parts, bow parts, car parts, wheels, tow hooks, intakes, and it's as good as the amount of work that you want to put into it. So that being said, we'll go from there. Eastwood gun, not that expensive. I get my powder coat from Rosie's Powder Coating, or Rosie's Powder Coat. It's a website. Had really good luck with them over the years, and you'll get directions on the powders. Depending on the powder, it'll take a specific temperature. Generally, after I've lost the package to my powders, I do 350 and just preheat the oven, put the part in it. You have to wait for it to, they call it flow, and you'll watch the part. It's going to go from like a dust on the part to an actual, like a liquid coating. It'll look like it's been painted, basically. And you'll bake it for a specific amount of time, usually 10-15 minutes. Then you turn off the oven and you let it cool. The best way is to let it come to room temperature in the oven. So the way that powder coat works, I suppose, is electrolysis. I hope that's the right term. You will hook a lead up. There's a cord coming off of this that gives a positive or negative charge to the gun. I'm not 100% sure. Goes into a control box and comes out with a lead to a switch that you'll push, which will start the charges. And the box also has another lead with an alligator clip that you are supposed to connect to the part. Now I usually hang my parts by some stainless steel baling wire, and I'll connect the lead as close to the part as I can to get the charge. And if you get your hands in the wrong arrangement, too close to the part where you get the button pushed and you're doing the powder coat, you get shocked. It's not horrible, but it's not pleasant either. So the positive, negative, basically static electricity, helps pull the powder to the part, helps it stick to it, and you'll go from there. You'll need to clean it with paint prep, grease and wax remover. I like to use lacquer thinner because I've always got that handy. and you will apply it, which I'm going to show. I like to do 2 coats because that lasts pretty good and you get good coverage with it. I can't stress it. This is DIY, okay guys? The sky's the limit on what you can buy for powder coating equipment, just like anything else. But I think this gun was probably $150, $175 at the time. I spent another $10 or $20 on canisters over the years. A pound of powder coat will cost you $10 to $15 shipped, and you get a lot of coverage out of it. A lot of coverage. I do 2 coats on. I did 17-inch wheels on my Explorer. Like I said, 2 coats with 1 pound, and I've probably got enough left to do another 2 coats. And it goes on thick. That's another thing about powder coat. It goes on pretty thick, which can take care of some imperfections. But if you're doing anything with close tolerances, you can't use powder coat. It'll say that generally on the descriptions, it'll give you definitions on how thick it goes on, and it seems like it's not very thick, but it's thick. Just to give you guys an example, I did a stainless steel magazine out of a Springfield XD. I put 1 coat of semi-gloss black on it. It would not go back into the gun. So take that for what it is. Okay, so I've got my oven preheated to the correct temperature. I've got all my hangers and stuff ready to put it in the oven. I've got the part prepped. I've got all my electronics hooked up for the static charge. I pumped my air compressor all the way up and then just went ahead and unplugged it because it's going to have more than enough pressure in it to do this. I like to start with my regulator relatively low on the gun before I start spraying, and then bump up the pressure if I need to, so I'm not just puffing it out and wasting it. One thing that I forgot to mention, that this part has obviously been sandblasted. Sandblasting is not required, but is highly recommended. You can always sand or scuff your part. As I did mention earlier, your finished product will be dependent on the quality of your prep work. Alright, that's a great first coat. There it is hanging in the oven now, and we're going to close it up and just monitor it until like I said earlier, it gets that flow look where it's a liquefied finish, and then we'll start the timer, in this case for 10 minutes, then we'll kill the heat. Alright, so it's been about 10, maybe 15 minutes I suppose, and you can see it is a little bit glossier now because the powder has melted and gone to liquid. Try to get in a little bit closer. So now we will let it go for approximately 10 minutes. The great thing about powder coat, as far as my experience has been, it doesn't have to be an exact science. So we're going to let it go for approximately 10 minutes now, and then we'll let it cool. One thing you do need to be aware of, that on thicker items like this or wheels, it's going to take a while for it to get hot enough for it to flow. And you can get around some of that by preheating the item a little bit. I do that sometimes, and that helps, but just be aware you're not doing anything wrong. Sometimes it just takes a while for it to get hot enough for that powder to melt. Here is the finished part. I apologize for not capturing it on video, but the finish just was not showing that well on film. I realize it's not showing that well on photograph either, but I was extremely happy with the finish. If you guys enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Please head on over to our Facebook page and join there. Also head on over to our Twitter account and follow us there. Thanks again for stopping by, and check back for more great content. And then another cord.
Hello guys.